Welcome to the Protecting Your Nest podcast. When Tyler Perry created the Meet the Browns TV show, his goal was to share the misadventures of Tyler Perry's beloved Leroy, an adventure filled with laughter and some lessons about life as the residents of Brown Meadows learn to live and love each other. But what if there's a bigger lesson? A lesson that would reveal the secrets to longevity that we will all need to use so we can be here with our loved ones for a longer amount of time. Well, today you won't be meeting the Browns from Tyler Perry's TV show, but instead meeting another family with the same last name, a couple who has changed their future by making a dietary change, a change that will not only prevent disease, but will heal them from a life of chronic illnesses. Today's guests are Frederick and G. Brown. The Browns are sharing their story of healing by allowing you to hang out with them on their growing YouTube channel, a channel where they share how they've transformed their lives with an animal-based diet. They share their life experiences, insights, and the occasional culinary creation, all done in the name of debunking myths that many have about eating an animal-based diet. So today, you'll be hanging out with the Browns, and I'm so excited because they've become one of my favorite families. And I welcome you guys
Oh,
to the podcast.
Thank
That's
you.
right. So welcome,
we are
guys.
happy to be
Thank you.
here.
Happy to
Hey,
be here.
so look, let me do my little intro. Hey, everybody, my name is G Brown, G Brown, the lifestyle changer,
I'm Frederick Brown, the husband.
and you are
Hanging
hanging with
with
the
the
Browns.
Browns.
All right now. So I think we're ready. And for those who are hanging out with the Browns and want to learn more, absolutely go to Hanging with the Browns YouTube channel, subscribe, and let's support this family who has very similar beliefs about how we can all achieve metabolic health. And I just really love that. I appreciate you guys putting that information out there. So many families have never heard it and therefore they won't heal. So let's get started. I want to go back a little bit for both
Mhm.
of you guys. I want to go back to that childhood, kind of like where you guys grew up and how you think that impacted how you guys view food.
I'll let you go first.
You really?
Yeah.
Well, I actually grew up in North Carolina, and growing up, I was an athletic kid, small in stature, but very skinny. And I never forget one day I was at the table and my dad said, you to gain weight, you need to eat some bread. Because I wouldn't eat bread. So he's the one that actually started me eating bread. And from that point on, I started gaining weight. Never to the point where I was overweight as a kid. I was always, always physically fit as a youngster. But I actually started getting bigger and then started developing some muscles and but I started at an early age, you know. And there's one thing that I do remember as a child, and the doctor told me that I would grow out of it. I
Mhm.
had this problem with my knees, and I can remember playing basketball in junior high school, and I had to wear knee pads because my knees were
Mm.
so tender to the touch,
It was
and
from
Mm.
the
they,
bread.
huh? It was from the bread, right? Inflammation at an early age, right? From the bread, right? I didn't know, but so I had inflammation early on, as a child, but never overweight, and I really didn't start
Mm.
gaining weight until after college, to where I wasn't as active and eating more, eating more unhealthy food. Started making money, eating more. I
Right.
could afford more, so I ate more. So it's been a struggle for me, and I think at my biggest, a few years ago, I was 205. Now 205 doesn't sound like a lot, but it is when you're 5'6".
That's right.
I
That's
was I
right.
was as wide as I was tall. So um, that was a major change for me. I know I looked at my wife one day and I said, I've had enough of this. This is horrible. I looked at myself and didn't really recognize myself, and so that's pretty much been my story in a nutshell.
Nice. And one
For
thing real
me,
quick before you say
hmm
anything, G, when I'm a family doctor, so although I take care of adults, um, we learn. I have to know about kids. In fact, I have to take boards for 2024 at the end of the year, and we learned about this medical condition called Osgood-Schlatter. And so a lot of times when young people get knee pain, it's usually Osgood-Schlatter is one of the most. You can get arthritis for sure you can get something called juvenile arthritis, but Osgood-Schlatter is a very common condition. It's one of those overuse conditions, but they're all inflammatory. So everything you guys have
Hmm.
suggested is true. It's like inflammation, inflammation, inflammation. But go ahead.
I was born in Chicago. I
All
left.
right.
No, no, ain't no. I left. We left. I ain't leave by myself when I was in the seventh grade. So I was raised in St. Louis, and then my big mama lived in, and my cousins were in Memphis. So I am truly a Midwest girl, just going up and down, back and forth down the highway. Um, and so my mom is French, and so my palate for food is pretty broad because she, used to cook. I tell everybody now I'm still looking for beef brains. I grew up on beef brains. And but I just remember just getting it out of the store, and now it's almost like I gotta hijack somebody to find them.
Right.
So liver, all of that. I with her, I grew up on that. So now when we go down to the South with my dad, and that's where Big Mama is, and so beans, greens, tomatoes, potatoes, you name it. Yes. The thing that I just never, ever, ever was okra. And my dad loved it. Okay, so he met my mom military, and brought her over to this country. So to
Mm,
pick that up, I don't like okra. Well, I don't eat any of it anymore. And then mozzarella cheese, yeah,
hmm
it's not eye appealing to me. And so, but outside of that, I probably had more whole foods. It
hmm
was not until, later on where box foods and all of that. No, my
hmm
mother really didn't do that. Probably pasta.
hmm
You're gonna make spaghetti stretch. And yeah, that
That,
was
that
that was me.
that was it. Well, first of all, my kids both went to Washington University in St. Louis, so we take trips. My youngest is still in grad school down there, so they'll both be graduates of the graduate program. So we go back and forth
Nice.
between St. Louis and Chicago. Obviously, I'm in Chicago. Um, I went to school in New Orleans, so when I see you, I see the typical kind of Creole
Yep.
girl that we would see in New Orleans, and I saw a whole lot of women looking just like you. So I understand
But
all of
I
that.
tell people, listen, I tell people, oh, this real Creole. My dad, of course, he is
You said
black,
you
but my mama was real
Yeah,
French.
she
So yeah, look, it wasn't that. No, she was the real
is
deal.
the
She came to
real.
this country when she was 21. Yes,
Wow. So you went straight for it. So you had the pure
yes.
breed. So I love that.
There you go. There
And
you
one of the
go.
things I like about having diverse guests, you're the first guest that said Big Mama on my podcast. So, and it's just an affectionate way we refer to our mom, my grandma, and it's
Hmm.
just so beautiful to hear you say that. So, like, hey, this is who it was. So thank you for that. You gave me a flashback of some family, when you said that. So,
Yeah.
so I love that. Um, let's talk about what I love is that you guys, me and my wife, we've done some animated stuff, and we may do some more of that. But I love the fact that you guys are working as a couple to spread this message, because it's not just about healing people metabolically, but is it possible that we can have some healthy marriages that we can celebrate in the community? And so I really love the fact that you're doing that as a couple. When you guys finally talk a little bit about how long you guys been married, and just for fun, give me a personality trait from each of you that you feel has been the glue to keep this marriage together.
Oh
Oh, I'm the
Lord,
glue.
why you
I'm the
use
glue.
that
I'm
word?
the glue.
Why
I'm
did
the
you
glue.
use that
I
word?
am the glue.
You need to
I'm that,
stop it, I
huh?
say.
I'm that crazy glue. Otherwise, no. Yeah,
You need to stop with that. Out of all the words, so we got Big Mama and glue. I'm keeping up now. Let me get my
Hey, I'm
paper.
writing.
I'm
I'm
keeping
taking
up
notes.
now. Take notes. Take notes. Well, let's just start with how we even started the channel because my husband has a PhD from YouTube University.
Mhm.
Okay, so he has repaired stuff in the house, everything. YouTube.
yeah,
And then when we started the carnivore diet, and I don't know if we had made it to 30. I don't even think we made it to 30 days. No, because some of the shows we were taught, we might have been 2 weeks in. And I said, listen, you have taken from YouTube. Now it's time to give back.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
so for me to do this by myself and we're doing this together, I said no. And Meet the Browns, ironically, I said no, that's an actual show.
Mhm.
And I posted out on social media, and Hanging with the Browns is what came back, and that's how we ended up
Nice.
doing the name. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he says that he's the
I,
glue.
I am. I am. I
Really.
don't know if you actually go and watch some of the shows. She looks all calm and mild mannered. Oh, she's a booger bear. You can kind of tell she's a booger bear. She can be
Uh,
a booger bear.
what? What kind of booger bear? I'm the
You're a good
same.
booger bear, but you're a
You
booger
know
bear.
what? Boogers are salty, so I'm good.
but,
That's
but I'm
funny.
always that one
Just tell
that
me why is Dr.
mends it
Tony
back
starting
together.
all
I
this?
don't know.
I
I
know.
I don't
Okay,
know.
we
I'm
got to figure
sorry.
this out.
I know I shouldn't do that. I've been
No,
married
go
long
right
enough,
ahead.
too long to
Yes.
know better. And me and my
No.
wife are opposites in so many ways, but we managed to keep it together somehow, some way. Now, when I look at you guys, I went back and looked at some of those earlier videos, and it must have been like one of the first two or three. And man, you guys don't look like you did 4 years ago. I mean, it's an obvious change, which is a beautiful thing to see. So for those who are checking this out, go back, look at that those earlier videos. You'll see a different look. And so the question is, let's talk about what you guys had to, you changed your diet and that impacted how you look. Share your stories of what got better, why did you even bother doing it. Talk a little bit about your healing story.
You
Well,
going first?
about 2 years ago, I guess it's been 2 years ago, when I was close to my heaviest, um, I decided that I wanted to lose weight, and I
Mhm.
had to lose weight. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror, um, so it was more or less, you know, vanity, I guess,
Mhm.
if you will, that started that initial diet, and my wife didn't. She didn't join me, and the
Wait a minute,
issue.
you talking
What,
about
two years ago? Yeah,
that was 2 years ago
yes,
already?
yeah, it's 2 years
I
ago.
told when you turned to the crackhead looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I lost like 70 pounds in like a little less than 3 months.
So
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
thank you. Let
It
that
was
marinate
yeah, let
for
that
a
Yeah,
marinate.
moment.
that's
It did,
that's
but
kind of fast. Yes, too fast. Yeah.
it was more of a caloric deficit. I was measuring food. I was counting blueberries. To the point she was coming trying to take a blueberry out of my bowl. I get mad. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
already starving myself. You taking my blueberries. So I was eating fruit. I was eating everything that wasn't good for me. That we found
Hmm.
out later wasn't good for me. A lot of inflammatory type foods. And then I did it and got down from 200 to 130. I was down to
Mhm.
what I was when I was in high school. And I looked at myself then and I'm like, oh, look like I'm sick. you know, I just really look sick. And so that didn't work. So I gained most of my weight back at that
Mhm.
point. And and then I was really suffering with inflammation, gout, is what I was diagnosed with,
And arthritis.
Mm.
arthritis, and to make a long story short, it got to the point where last January I was going back and forth between a cane and my mother-in-law's walker. And most times, whenever I had inflammation, it would either be in my left or right knee, or it would be in my left or right ankle. But what I experienced this last time, this episode that kind of brought us to this point, was inflammation in both ankles simultaneously, and that was debilitating. And that was the point where my wife had actually video recorded me trying to make it to the bathroom one night, unbeknownst to me, and she played it back for me later. And every time even now when I watch it, it almost brings tears to my eyes because I remember the excruciating pain that I was in trying to walk, and at that point, I actually started an elimination diet. And I had eliminated everything from my diet. One of the things I didn't share on our channel, I actually started talking with my kids. I have a 26-year-old son and a 27-year-old daughter. And I was talking with them, and they were talking about another doctor that was talking about inflammation and certain foods that can cause it. And but what they were saying and what they were describing, I didn't think it was sustainable for me. I started listening to the kind of foods, and I'm like, that's not sustainable. I mean, I do it, and I can't keep that up. So I never really ventured down that path. Well, after going to a rheumatologist, and going through a series of medications and steroids and just trying to figure out what was really causing inflammation, he didn't think it was gout because my uric acid levels weren't to the point where it should have been causing the pain that I was experiencing.
Keep talking. I'm going to pick something up to show Dr. Tony. And don't forget the chicken Caesar salad.
Didn't know what was going on. They drew like 13 vials of blood one time, and I mean, I'm feeling like I'm walking out feeling like a pincushion, just from that, and could not understand.
Right. These are just his.
That's a lot of medicine that you're showing me. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is.
This between the eye drops, it goes. And these little vials were like $100, not that one, $125.
Those were from gout. Well, not gout.
Right.
Glaucoma.
Okay.
That he didn't have.
Yeah. Diagnosed with glaucoma, which after going to an ophthalmologist, finding out that I didn't have glaucoma, but what I did have was inflammation that was causing these pressure spikes in my eyes. He didn't know what was causing it. I
That's
tell
crazy.
you now, I haven't had that anymore. My brother-in-law visited, and he shared with me this carnivore diet. And when I was listening to him, all I was hearing that, okay, I get to eat. I get to eat food that I like. And if this would solve my problem and I can enjoy my food, this is sustainable. I can do this, right? And that day, May 26th, I'll never forget it. He sat at the table. He told me about his friend that lost 30 pounds. But at that point, because I had started the elimination diet, I had already lost weight. So it wasn't about weight for me. It was about inflammation. It was about pain, right? So I had a great why. It wasn't vanity this time. It was pain that I needed to try and heal from. And I started May 26th, and I haven't looked back. I haven't looked back.
I know I said when I walked over that so he didn't get the carnivore flu because he was only for 6 weeks he ate chicken Caesar salad. He kept having
Mhm.
inflammation after inflammation. So I want people, it was the salad dressing and the lettuce because the chicken was fine.
Yeah.
So those simple two things kept
Mhm.
him
Yep.
debilitated for the
Yep.
most part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just said, like, it's 172 days for him. And I was vegan.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh, I'm not getting ready to eat meat.
Mhm.
That's not getting ready to happen. But let me just say, because you asked that, and I don't know, I think you can see that these
Mhm.
are what was wrong with me
Mm.
as I was vegan, right? I'm just gonna read off a few. My my first old people disease was bursitis. Both hips, but the left was the worst.
Mm.
Spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia. I had two bulging discs in my lower back. And so then that, I ended up at the pain center. They used to stick me with a needle in my hip and then that one in my spine. And I was on high dose Percocets for 3 years. Uh,
Mhm.
and I was vegan now. I need and all restless leg. I used to get UTIs all the time, sciatica, vertigo. I had carpal tunnel. I used to have to sleep with these things on my wrist. I don't have to do that anymore. Um, and I need to share this because I know obesity is what you is part of your profession.
Mhm.
I actually have the gastric sleeve.
Mm.
And I was over 200 pounds with all of these things.
Mm.
So I really tried to communicate with people. Now, I said when we used to go, well, the first time that I went, and you're sitting in this, I guess, like this big orientation type thing, and they have people that have had the either the bypass or the sleeve. They really wasn't push. No, they weren't pushing the sleeve at the time, and there, all you see as a big person, you just see smaller people.
Mhm.
That's what you
That's right.
see. And it's
Right.
like, that's all. It's like, I can't do it the way that I'm eating. I just want to be smaller. But something just did not sound right about you cutting my intestines,
Mhm.
redirecting it. I said, no, I said, why they just don't cut the stomach and just make it
Mhm.
smaller? And they,
Mhm.
some reason. So I left. I didn't do it.
Mhm. Okay.
Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and down. If I made it to 180, oh, you couldn't tell me nothing. I was so cute. Oh my God, at 180. He say shallow how. Cause I look in the mirror, I ain't see what everybody else saw. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Right.
I knew how to turn look, I knew how to turn sideways a little bit and hit that
Yeah.
pose. I had that stuff down pat. Yeah. So I didn't see any of that.
Mhm.
Well, now the weight is still not staying off.
Mhm.
So we went back to this same orientation again, but now they were offering the sleeve. And I said,
Mhm.
okay, just reduce my stomach. I'm going to take in less food. And
That's
here
right.
we go. So I developed high blood pressure after the surgery.
Yeah, that's
And I
unusual.
said, thank you. That's the same thing that I said. Now, let me tell you some of the side effects that I still deal with in regards to that surgery.
Mhm.
Whatever they cut off the nerve or whatever that makes you hungry.
Yeah, it's the ghrelin hormone, that is very so literally the ghrelin hormone is in the body of the stomach mostly. So when you get rid of that, when you turn your stomach into a banana, you get rid of the hunger signal, most of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I now what will happen, um, I'll start getting a taste for something, but I won't like and if my stomach makes a noise, it's more of a gurgle and not like a growl. And I
Mhm.
can drink some water and that goes away. Um, you understand about dumping,
Mhm.
and when I had a dumping episode not too long ago, I know it was within the last 3 weeks because we did a fast, and the acid in my stomach now, if I go without eating, all of a sudden I'll start burping and burping and burping. And then there's a churning and there's a burning sensation that will go on if I don't coat my stomach. So, of course, they
Mhm.
gave me these little tablets, 20 milligrams of something, because they said that I had a endo and an exo uh, where they took the camera in, and they said that, yeah, I had the acid reflux. It never came up, but it was tearing up I guess, the top part of my stomach.
Mhm.
So that is probably the one thing that I wish that I never had. And I have to explain to people, I didn't lose this weight on that sleeve.
Mhm.
I'm telling
Yeah.
you, I remain big. I never went back to sodas. So I haven't had sodas in almost 12 years. So that, because they said to me, if I drink that carbonation will hit the acid in my stomach and it
Mhm.
expands. And so
Mhm.
you can stretch your stomach, you can pop a staple. So I was like, oh, no, no, no. So that wasn't a big deal for me anyway. But yeah, so all of those things, I'm looking at him, and I think like by the second day, he was, gee, I feel better. Because keep
Mhm.
in mind, he had eliminated everything prior to. So now he's just eating animal.
Mm.
I said,
Okay.
okay, you're not getting ready to look good and feel good and leave me over here wobbling. So I said, I can't do beef, but so I came back with lamb and bacon. I came
Cool.
back with those two. And then slowly, and I did some seafood and eggs. And
Okay.
so now we in it to win it.
Yeah, I love it.
So
And
from the
wow,
February, I've lost 50 pounds.
nice.
And I
Okay.
tell people all the time, oh, I'll never be big again. I will, that
Not
yo-yo stuff, no,
not
I'll
doing
never
that.
be big again.
Yeah, once you heal, you won't want to go back. And mine were, my problems with my stomach was less serious than what you're talking about. But if you can avoid, and since I'm obesity trained, I know about Ozempics, I know about surgery, and I don't think that they're to be ignored for everybody. But to start there is not smart because you permanently have a banana stomach, right? So now you have to deal with living with a banana stomach, not to mention the potential complications. I've seen young people, otherwise healthy people, have blood clots, have issues with hernias, have issues with leakage because you have to put that stomach back together once you cut it off, and it can leak. It could separate, it could split. So there's all kinds of potential complications. You mentioned dumping syndrome, and I've had patients have that problem where they're having nausea and diarrhea, not feeling good, lightheaded, and all of that kind. Because there's this rapid when you when a meal is rapidly emptied, it just causes all of this symptoms when the food moves too quickly from your stomach into the lower air intestine, the duodenum. You can get this and it doesn't feel good. So but making a dietary change is much easier, although it's still hard because you still gotta get your mind wrapped around it. But that's pretty cool. And by the way, for those who haven't seen that, I love that movie, Hallow. I love
Shallow
that movie.
Hal.
Jack Black and Gwendolyn
Yes. Huh.
Paltrow and Jason Alexander, all of those folk, because it allows us to reflect on how we look at people. And I
Mm-hmm.
just love, there's so much bias in the world for people who are overweight, and it's amazing that you have to go to that extreme like the movie. Just got to mess his brain up a little bit so he can see what he should have saw in the first place, what was on the inside. So, quick question
And
about,
now let me,
yeah,
before you go to the next question,
yeah.
this is what I want to ask you. So, why is it now, since the surgery, that I could drink alcohol? I can drink a lot of alcohol, and like 30 minutes later, I'm sober as all get out.
No, man, that's a I've not heard anybody comment on that. I know that
Oh, they
when
just didn't want to tell
you
you they was drinking. That's all.
that is very interesting because I could see how the speed at which the alcohol goes from where it's at through you may be accelerated. And anytime you have gastric surgery of any kind, the rate at which things travel through you is faster. So, however, alcohol seems so absorbable that it would be hard to imagine that it's going to go through so fast that you won't get it in your system. So, I'm not sure if I can answer that like based on
Okay.
experience because I haven't had that scenario, although it's very interesting. And I do want to add that people, just for FYI, when you do keto or carnivore, your tolerance for alcohol is not going to be the same. Most people won't ever say what you said. If anything, they'll say, the alcohol effect is stronger with keto and carnivore. So it's very interesting that you have. But again, surgery is surgery.
No,
Haven't
no.
heard that.
Before keto, before carnivore,
Yeah,
that
before.
like I can sit there and drink, and I can get intoxicated, but
Hmm.
just give me about 30 minutes and then it's gone. Then I'm like ready to drink again because everybody else
Interesting.
is like, yeah, and that didn't happen for me. And we were on a cruise and I drank on the cruise since I was carnivore.
And
And
how'd that
that's
go?
another thing. I my depression came back, but I mean, it was the same thing. It didn't stay with me long.
Right, right.
So
That's
it was almost
okay.
like a waste of money. It just
Yeah.
it didn't stay long. But um, I lost my mom January 27th will make 2 years. And I've never experienced depression and anxiety uh, like what he even said, baby, I don't know what to do for you. You really
Mm,
need help. And
yeah.
I mean, I was crying. I had a
Mm,
teledoc appointment. They put me on medicine, but I've needed none of that since being on the carnivore diet. And yeah, so my clarity, my everything. But after I drank on the ship, it took me 5 days to bounce back from that, from the depression.
wow. Well, there's many reasons not to drink alcohol. It can cause weight gain because oxidative priority says the alcohol fuel will be used before any other kind of fuel. So if you drink alcohol, you tend to not burn fat, so you tend to gain weight. It obviously can affect your memory and your judgment. It increases your likelihood of, things like cancer and other chronic conditions. So now you have another reason. And again, we in a world where these are not issues, you should be able to have a little Chardonnay at the end of the day if you choose to. But when you know it's going to get you, it's best to just avoid it because the benefit I just don't see the benefits in that setting. So, but you had to do the experiment, and sometimes it's the life experience that that's the best teacher. So it said, this may not be for me. I'm just gonna hang out, be social, and let the rest of the crew do their thing. So there are
Hmm.
probably other things that you've given some nice medical examples, both of you guys. Beyond the medical, though, are there other benefits that come to mind when you think about changing your diet to a more animal based that stand out, like in terms of how it makes you feel or other impacts on your life?
You really want to hear my answer?
Oh Lord, here we go. Okay, edit.
Here we go.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
listen.
Okay,
So
yeah,
here's the thing,
we ready.
because when we met
Hmm.
almost 20 years ago, I weighed 178 pounds,
Okay.
right? And so um by the time we got married, yeah, I was knocking on 200's door.
Hmm.
And so that belly fat he had. So
Mm.
intimacy wise, there
Hmm.
was a you big people, you become creative.
That's
I'm
right.
trying to find the right word. Okay, so you
That's good.
become
Creative is a good
intimately
word.
creative.
Okay.
Okay, so you do that. But now it's like a whole new. marriage because of
Mhm.
things intimately that
You
you
better know
can
it.
do that we've never been able to do before.
That's right.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
so I think that's probably in a nice way. So those are the wins and stuff for me, where you hug and bellies are not clashing
Right,
first.
right,
Um,
right.
yeah, I used to I used to tell him, and this is something that I've shared before, where he in missionary style, and
Mhm.
he's trying to hold himself up, and then he want to lay on me, and it's like, dude, you too
Yeah.
heavy. I can't hold both of us. So
Right,
what I
right.
did was I had him to like get up on, lay down, and then I put my hand like on the floor and then at the bottom of his stomach. I say, now I'm
Mhm.
big. This how much room you leaving me like under you.
Mm.
No, that's not working for me. Well, we ain't got them
Yeah.
issues anymore.
No.
So
Well, that's
And another win, a win for me. I mean, in addition to those, but I think about work. I work from home.
mhm.
I'm not a morning person, but I find myself now waking up early in the morning and feeling energized. I'll just go out to the
Right.
office and I get a lot of work done. I may go into the office anywhere between 4 and 5 a.m. in the morning because especially in summertime, I like to have my afternoons off. So I want to get my work done as fast as possible. So I go in and put in my 8 hours and I'm doing it efficiently. I mean, I'm focused on what I'm doing. I'm able to concentrate and resolve issues a lot easier than I was able to do it before. One of the things that I had noticed when I was younger, I've always been pretty good in math and
Mhm.
could do a lot of mathematical computations in my head. And I had gotten to the point where, I would pull out a calculator just to add 2 plus 3 to make sure it was 5. But
Mhm.
now I find myself going back to um, close to where I was before, memorizing 6, 7 digits, looking at it and being able to write those numbers down without going back and forth, making sure I got the right numbers. I just got a
Okay.
lot of mental clarity now, much more than I had in the past. So that's been a big win for me. In addition to the elimination of the pain. Now, one of the things I do want to say, I've heard a lot of people talk about this great sleep that they get from the carnivore diet.
yeah, I
Mm.
don't get that.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
I have my Apple Watch and I try to monitor my sleep. Got a sleep number bed, so I'm trying to look at this what is it, circadian rhythm and all of these other measures for sleep quality. And sometimes my numbers are optimal and looking pretty good, but I don't have to sleep long. And what I contribute it to is the energy that I have.
Right.
Because if I wake up and go to the bathroom, so it's not that I can't sleep. It's like I got energy. I want to do something now, you know. And
Mhm.
so I just get up and go to work, and then I may go
Mhm.
to bed a little earlier than I used to, but I'll start winding down. But I find myself being energized early in the morning, and that's something that I didn't have before, and I consider that a win because I like to get started early and finish early.
Simple wins are being able to wrap a towel around you when you get out of the shower,
Yeah.
sitting on an airplane and not having to get that seatbelt and pull it all the way to the end and then get the
Mm.
buckle in where you could just turn around and buckle it.
Or that extra buckle you got to ask the stewardess for.
Chuck, I ain't never
Mm.
had to ask no students for no buckle. You better
Uh-huh.
stop it, I say. Um, yeah, so just it's little things like that, being able to put on what you all call your skinny jeans, where you've held onto those pants for so long, you just mean you were going to get back into them, and now you do. For me, I ended up holding onto the pants and forgot to go get them, and then tried them on and they were too big. So why are you looking at me like that?
Okay, so you gonna tell them about you buying all all of those little small clothes when you were big because you said one day you're gonna get in them.
And I was able to wear them. Don't why you telling all the good stuff?
Yeah, funny,
Okay,
I'm
Dr.
telling you.
Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, good. It's funny. One of the things I was thinking about, first of all, to your comments, G, is yeah, you need fat. We talked about that on your channel. You need saturated fat for your sex hormones. So if I have more saturated fat in my diet, contrary to popular opinion, that's going to improve my sex drive and my sexual performance. You store a lot of estrogen in your belly fat. So not only structurally are you guys in better position because there's less belly fat, but when you remove that extra estrogen that he's not supposed to have excessive amount of, then you're gonna have more testosterone. So his testosterone level probably went up while his belly was shrinking. So now you got more energy. You're mentally clear. You want to have sex. If you're not feeling good, you're not going to be interested in that at all. So I think that's important. Now it is true with all the metabolic changes that are occurring in the body, you will find that for some people, their sleep may be disrupted when you're making all of these dietary changes. So, and again, I didn't think that everybody needed to take, supplements and things like that. But I do find that some people do better when they take electrolytes. And I think we're so deficient in salt when we convert to these dietary patterns, and we need to make sure we get enough, rather it's drinking the broths or just making sure you add sufficient salt. And it's just hard for people to wrap their heads around that, but that should get better for most people. But when you're problem solving, you're thinking about electrolytes and things like that. So, but yeah, and sometimes if somebody say that you're not going to do well on a dietary pattern, you won't do well because it's in your head now. Some of this
Right.
stuff is psychological, and just make sure. I wrote an article with the Diet Doctor, so if you guys search Diet Doctor Sleep, I wrote an article about sleep that goes into some of the things to think about. And I think that that's important to think about, as you move forward. So let's think about
I
the
have a
person who's
question.
watching this. And they're probably wondering what happened to Dr. Hampton, because I've been having a lot of guests on my podcast who are more carnivore. And some of that's by accident, as I've kind of interacted with more lately. But it's not required that people go carnivore, but it is important that they know it's an option, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you see somebody in front of you who's contemplating carnivore, keto, or even low carb, what advice would you give them? I mean, do you think it's necessary to go to carnivore? Or, what would you say to a friend or family member that's looking at you guys like you're, aliens, and they're trying to figure out what they should consider?
Well, we've been down this road quite a bit. As a matter
Yeah.
of fact, we we left a family function a month or so ago, and we came in and went straight and did a YouTube video about our
Family.
experience with the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as you go, you see me with my head down, and it says no, and it's one of those where we share our experiences. They've seen the results, and they tried it. But we understand that sugar addiction. We really do. We
Mhm.
understand how that correlates to crack and the way people on drugs behave in regards to those kinds of drugs. So we know sugar, that
Mhm.
legal drug, has that same effect
Mm-hmm.
on people. So we understand that. So we become a little more empathetic, but we
After
still
that.
just try to plant that seed. And one of the things, as a matter of fact, we just left another function this past weekend, and one of my brother-in-law's sister, she said, Tracy, I don't mean to be nosy. She said, but are you and G on some kind of special diet?
Right.
Because she's seen the results, right? She see us there
Really?
eating our meat, and she see the results, she see the weight loss, she see the glow, she sees all of
That's
that.
right.
So people are, sometimes you don't have to say anything. People are watching you when you don't even realize it. So
Hmm.
but we just try to plant that seed, and and say, hey, just check us out, and it's we're telling the truth. We're telling the truth about the way we should be eating.
That's
Hmm.
right.
And you just got to be willing and open minded to hear the truth. And I think once you do and understand it and realize that you can eat as much as you want to eat, that's the thing that makes it sustainable. It's not like that caloric deficit thing where you're starving yourself. I'm
Hmm.
not starving.
Right.
I'm not starving. That's how I know I can continue to do this the rest of my life, because I'm not starving. And
Hmm.
and that's what we try and share, the point we try to get across. But we do understand that sugar addiction. We really do.
And I think for me, um, you can almost put this with sharing the gospel.
Hmm.
It's so many times that you invite someone to church and then you're sitting there and the pastor could be saying something, and instead of you getting the message, you looking like, oh, I really hope they getting it. I really hope they get I really hope they're
Right.
getting this part. Right. And so, but you can't force it. Um, a, a lot of you have your preconceptions. Oh my God, if I give my life, then I can't do this. For me, I remember saying this. Oh no, I know that I'm not going to church. You can't wear pants. You can't wear
Hmm.
makeup. You can't. I started with all these, the strictness. And so I'm finding that, of course, with the carnivore lifestyle, that um, you want to share it with your loved ones for sure.
Hmm.
But if they don't follow with it, then that becomes allow your light to shine. So
Mm.
for every event that we continue to show up, because a lot of times people don't want to go out and eat, my recommendation is order, and then take the other food, the potato or the vegetable, put it in a to-go container. Even if you toss it, you don't have to make it a big deal.
Hmm.
And still go to the function, eat before you go, and they'll see the weight loss, they'll see um, certain things, and then ask questions. But before we move forward, I need to ask you a question.
Yep.
I have a reduced size stomach, and what I am
Hmm.
finding, eating once a day can't work for me.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's no, unless I just sit there and eat straight butter. That's the only way that I can get this in. So, um, I've tried to do the window. That has been like some of the challenge, and I don't know what the appropriate amount of fat. I do my carnivore tea. Some people, use bone broth, but for me, it's the carnivore tea where I have a crock pot. I'll put some make every week it changes. It could be bones and a chicken or whatever, just to make the broth. It can be beef. If I cook out, like I smoked a duck, I'm keeping half of the duck to go into the broth for the flavor. And when I
Hmm.
have a cup, I add at least a stick of butter. I'll do at least a third of it in the cup, drink that. When I eat a steak,
What's your question,
I
though?
do this
What's your
the
question?
fat first. My question is how much to take in, and I know you need to give your digestive system a break, but it seems like in order for me to take in enough food, I have to eat multiple times. So
Yeah.
dealing with people with what I have, I've just never spoke with a doctor in regards
Yeah.
to it. And it's like, okay, G, this is the best route for you. So what's the
Yeah.
best route?
Even a guy who's never had surgery, I've never had a weight problem. I find that I try to do what I think the warrior diet, for example, where you maybe have a 4-hour eating window. I just couldn't do it because I've always never had a weight problem. So I would get too thin. I just couldn't get enough food in to do what I needed my body to do. So the first part is when you have a banana stomach, it is going to be challenging. So we have to accept that in that setting, it's probably best to not try to do it once a meal a day. Uh, Twice, giving yourself a feeding window. For me, it's 12 to 7, 12 to 6. That's better than trying to squeeze it in. Not just because it's hard to get in, but I can't really enjoy my food if I feel like I have to squeeze it in. It becomes less enjoyable. It's like I'm trying to force
Mm-hmm.
something, and I don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
that. So today, I had something to eat after getting home a little early today at 1, and basically, I think I just ate a half a chicken, roasted chicken, and tonight I'll do ribeye. But and then tomorrow, we have this carnivore lasagna we make sometime that Maria Emmerich teaches you how to make. But at the end of the day, I have to do it twice. So I would say for you, it's probably better to think of it that way. Number two, um, yeah, when you are eating this dietary pattern and your body is using ketones as its primary fuel, uh, you need to make sure it gets plenty of that fat fuel. So you could argue. It depends on who you talk to. Some people say
Go
1-to-1
put me some water.
ratio, fat to protein. I'm gonna say it may need to be 3 parts fat and 1 part protein. So you could be getting as much as 75% of your calories from fat. But it's tricky. There's an
What
art
does
to it.
that look like when you say that? So let's take your typical ribeye, because when I go to and I know if I have this question, possibly other people have it as well. So we hit our butcher, and we let them know don't cut the fat off. So
Mhm.
we have that good cap on there.
Yeah.
What is the steak is this big, but the cap is that big. So what does that look like uh, for me
Yeah, and
in
it's tough
constantly trying
because
to get some fat in?
right, and this is when you think about maybe I need to be adding fat because a ribeye is probably gonna have, it's a lot of protein. It's probably about 60 to 40. So it's a lot of protein in a ribeye. So it's like 60 to 40. So 60% protein, 40%. So that's the opposite of what you want, and that's a fatty meat. So that's when
Mm-hmm.
you need. And my son, shout out to my son Brandon and Justin, both of them, they know how to cook. So we tend to add a lot of butter or ghee when we're cooking ribeye, and we're cooking it with the ghee. And we prefer ghee because it can tolerate the higher temperatures than the butter. And
Mm-hmm.
then we if you throw see when you use something like butter, beef tallow, lard, that's 100% fat. So when you start adding those things to your steak and you're making sure it's you know filled pretty well, you're going to add the fat part pretty quickly. I mean, if you think about
Okay.
taking the fat from the meat and like liquefying it, you're gonna get a decent amount of liquid, but it ain't like an absorbent amount relative to the protein. So if you can just add that to your meat and tolerate it. So the problem is some people get too much fat and it makes them nauseous, right? So you want to be careful to ease into that because if you go too fast, you're gonna not like it and you're not gonna want to do it. So that's how you want to do it. Don't get overly there are people who measure and count, and you don't want to get crazy with
Yeah,
this. You
no.
just want to the
Mm-mm.
most important thing for you right now is I need to give myself more time to get enough food in, calories, just so I can have what my body needs. And then as you're doing that, you're going to start adding ideally some type of animal fat to your meat. And some people get creative. I mean,
That's your cord. Thank you.
when we were in Costa Rica recording the Reverse Carnivore documentary, the steak and butter gal, Bella, was there. And
Mhm.
Maria Emmerich had made these little butter like snacks, right? And
Mhm.
so the question is, can I come up with some carnivore friendly like fatty things to snack on? So you have to be creative, but I would start doing things like that. But just don't over obsess about it, because you will find that there's no perfect ratio for you. It's all about, let me consciously add fat, make sure I give myself enough time to eat, and generally speaking, your body will figure it out. But you just want to know these basic principles so you can know how to correct. But but I guess because you're in a unique situation with this gastric sleeve, you have
Mhm.
to be thoughtful about everything. So I know you feel like if you had to go back in time, you probably wouldn't do it. I think you
Oh
may have
my God.
said this
I even
already.
did a video telling people,
Oh,
do
really?
not do this.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's right.
God, don't do this. Because the people standing up there, all you see is smaller.
Yeah, yeah,
And they're telling you what you need to hear, but they don't have me up there because I'm gonna let you know all the problems that I have. Now, what I
that's
will
right.
do, so I eat from a bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It pretty much almost no matter what I'm eating, cut the steak up. I'll even add it to a bowl because I put butter at the bottom, and I normally do a third of the stick. I'll put that in there, put the hot food on top, and I eat with a spoon. So if it's ground beef, eggs, no matter what, I try to eat with a spoon so I can
Mm-hmm.
scoop the fat, the butter that's in there
Right,
and eat.
right.
And that really doesn't bother me as long as I salt it well.
Yeah, that's
The
right.
thing is that, but then my meal is this small.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's just not
yeah.
enough. You got to spread it out, and it's okay. So, what are we know there's benefits of fasting, autophagy, where you take the old cells and replace them with new cells, and so that's good for cancer and things like that. But a lot of this stuff is overrated. It's almost like using the example of grass-fed beef versus grain-fed. Yeah, the grass-fed beef is going to have or I should say grass finished. Most cows are grass fed until they're at the end.
Hmm.
So let's just say, so yeah, there's going to be more omega 3, but compared to salmon, is negligible. So I'm going to spend 2-3 times more money for some grass fed beef. There's nothing wrong with that, to get the omega 3 benefit. Just eat a piece of salmon, and then you'll get 10 times as much anyway. So I think we have to be careful. So, and I'm in a moderate range. I'm all about randomized controlled trials. Show me the evidence, and I'm all about relax. Relax, people. We're not out here trying to create a cult. We're not. If you do everything perfectly, you're gonna do well, but that don't mean you're gonna live to 120. Relax,
Hmm.
enjoy your life, make some changes to heal, which is what you guys have done. But we're not gonna go. If I walk into a room where they have plants, I'm not gonna say I can't be in the room because I smell plants because I'm a carnivore. That's
Right.
Or if I didn't kill the animal myself, I can't eat it. It's like I'm not a real carnivore. So I really appreciate being practical and thinking through this. Any vegetables you guys still tolerate or periodically consume, or you just let it? You're not even messing
Oh,
with it.
no. Jalapenos.
Oh, okay, cool.
Jalapeno. Yeah. So for me, yeah, I can eat those right out of the jar.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, I eat them right out of the jar. As a matter of fact, we were someplace and they had I don't know if they grilled the jalapeno, and I went back and I cut that up, and then I will buy fresh jalapenos and put some cream cheese in it and wrap it in bacon and either smoke it or bake it, and I'll have that every. That's probably the only thing outside of that. No, it's just meat,
Yeah.
meat.
No
Yeah, that's
vegetables for
right.
me. No
Yeah,
vegetables for
yeah.
me. Hey,
Yeah,
I want to say
I'm
one
good
more
with
thing
that.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
I want
ahead.
to say one more thing too. When we were talking earlier, what I found is something about this lifestyle. It reconfigures your body. And when I
Hmm.
mentioned earlier about the way I lost weight 2 years ago and how unhealthy it was, this time I when I wake up at night, there are times when I feel like my muscles are growing,
Oh
and I
Lord, he
ain't saying
loved
this
Uh,
no
telling this
way. I go
story.
to the bathroom and I'm feeling my stomach, I'm feeling abs, I'm feeling
Oh,
muscles. I'm like, my stuff is growing. I'm not even working out. I mean, it's exciting.
well, that's why
You
you
got to
can't
stop.
sleep. That's why you can't sleep.
You gotta stop because you showed me your muscle the other day.
No, you need to stop it.
You showed me a muscle the other day. You hadn't seen a muscle in 20 years.
Y'all are
I
crazy.
did. Boy, yeah. Boy, don't get me started. I made
But
him
think about Dr. Anthony Chafee, who is a
jump.
neurosurgical resident, and I've talked to him. I said last time you was in the gym 3 weeks, and he looked like a freaking statue. So
Yeah.
it is true that if you build up something and then you are feeding yourself the proper human diet, the amino acids, it'll sustain. I'm not a big guy like that, but if I miss a week of exercise, it's almost like I didn't miss a week. It's just different. So when you give
Yeah.
yourself the
Yeah.
right feel, so I think everything you're saying is real. It's not like he's not just bragging. I think there's some truth to it.
No, that's why he
No,
can't
no.
sleep. He up there doing all that touchy
I know.
feely, going to the bathroom with muscles and stuff. And you done got
Yeah,
excited. That's why you can't sleep.
let that man flex his muscles. Stop playing. And you
Yes,
don't mind.
please. Go right
You don't
ahead. I
mind.
sure don't. I
You
sure
prefer that
don't.
over that stomach. I can tell you that. Now let me say this.
Okay, you better go ahead and tell the truth.
Now check this out. When
Yes.
I went down that rabbit hole of plant-based earlier, just like you did, it was driven. I saw somebody just at one of our board meetings, uh, literally, yeah, the day before this recording. And when she went down that rabbit hole, it was the China study, and we talked about how flawed and how Colin Campbell took casein protein that was in mice that led to cancer in the mice, and then said, well, if casein's a protein, that means all animal protein causes cancer. What a leap of faith that was. So that was garbage science. So the whole China study, as large as it was, is not showing any real causation. So we know, and that's one of the things I relied on. I relied on the blue zones. But another thing that kind of got a lot of us thinking about plants more seriously is the documentary. So how do you guys feel about the documentaries? I know we're working on a carnivore documentary with Carrie from Homestead How YouTube channel, but what impact do you think the documentaries are having on our communities?
Well, I know for me, What the Health is the
Yeah.
one that I jumped vegan. As a matter, instantaneously too.
Hmm.
We were on vacation. We were in Hawaii. My husband and our friends, the couple, the wife and Frederick share the same birthday, and her husband's birthday is 2 days later. And so we were there for the celebration. We got up that next morning and they were like, well, we don't have the typical breakfast food. We're vegan now. And I'm like, vegan? All them barbecues we used to have together, what do you mean vegan? And so I said, why? And then I saw the documentary. But once again, anything that has something to do with food, you really, if you care about your health, you're getting older, you're trying to find what is working. I threw
Right.
away the mushroom coffee. I mean, you see all these different things. Okay, that's it. I just need to be healthy. I just need to be healthy. I can say without a shadow of a doubt, I've tried so many things from vegan,
Mm,
look, 10-day cleanse, the egg diet where you ate X amount of eggs a day and then you went on a day of bananas. Nothing compares to eating the lifestyle that I eat now. Your whole body, it's like, so the difference that I see, I haven't seen or heard many carnivores turn around and say, I still have these 10 ailments, da, da, da.
mhm,
No, but I can say without a shadow of a doubt, I was vegan, and I still had this long. I was a vegan on 3 years of Percocets. The
mm,
Percocets affected my memory, so my
mm,
interruption was like I interrupted everybody because I was gonna forget what I was gonna say, and then I'm in the middle of talking and I forget what I'm saying. So I
mhm,
know that stuff is real on a plant-based diet, that those things did not change. The sciatic, the bursitis, the inject, none of that changed until the carnivore diet.
Yeah, and I think what Carrie is putting together with this carnivore documentary is going to help level the playing field. It's what I'm hoping happens. There's a lot of other documentaries, a lot of misinformation, and if sometimes if you listen carefully, you can kind of hear them contradict themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like my wife gave this example of when her mother was having chemo done, and
Mm.
then when she was done with the chemo, they gave her some
Ensure
Ensure,
that's
right?
full of
Full of
sugar.
Ooh,
sugar. It doesn't
ooh.
even make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It
It's
doesn't
it's
make
a
sense.
it's poison.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
So
mm,
that's kind of how I look at it. I think I still listen to what people have to say,
that's
and
right.
I'm listening to see, where they're missing critical information,
That's
right?
right.
And trying to tap into that, and maybe can kind of conversate around it, and hopefully help open their eyes to what's really going on. And I
That's
think
right.
the fundamental issue here, Dr. Hampton, is that it's all about money. We live in a capitalistic society, right?
Mm-hmm.
This country was built on capitalism. It's all about making money, and I have no problem with making money, none whatsoever. And I used to tell my wife this: I don't ever want to be rich at somebody else's expense, right? Never. I don't want to step on someone just to get to the top. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like what a lot of these major corporations have done, if they've tapped into, hey, we know that this sweetener here creates an addiction, and if we can get them addicted to this, then we can make this very cheaply and really increase our profit margins. And it's all about money. It's all about increasing
Mm-hmm.
that profit margin. And I think that's one of the things that really irritates me. And I listen for it when I hear it. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. But a lot of people, they're missing. They're missing some of that critical information. And
Yeah.
so we just trying to continue to do what we do to fill that gap, and hopefully with the documentary, it can reach a mega platform, and we can kind of level the playing field and just really tell the truth.
Yeah. And
For
I'll
me,
and I,
I always tell Carrie, I tell him, and I'll say it and I'll say it here. Carrie has changed the carnivore community.
yeah.
People were like, I knew nothing of this at all. And I mean, for him to grab the reins and then want to do a movie to really get it out, just did not stay here. At just YouTube, where he just wants to expand, explore. And I tell him, you change this community, and I'm just thankful. We are thankful to be a part of this movement. And I just,
That's right.
yeah, and we have 5 grandchildren, and I tell them because I was watching Dr. Atkins on the Oprah show when he
Mm-hmm.
was on there and they had the people around with the dinner and all of that. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm not ready to give up bread. I'm not, yeah, because I was young, nothing was going on
Mm-hmm.
with my body. So, of course, young people will feel that way. And so, what I said to them, when you hear this is what we're going to eat, but later in life, if you have any ailments whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
do this first. Always, whether I'm here or not, do this first before you go down the path of medicine, surgery, or do this first. Because I'm telling you, as your
Mm-hmm.
Nini, that this has changed our lives. And
Mm.
so, and then they see me not gaining the weight back. So it's like I walk back in, it's like, okay,
Mm.
okay. Because we get excited, we lose a few pounds. They see it's like, girl, you look good, thank you. And then 3 months later, you bigger than what you were before you started. This time, yeah, I'll never be big again.
I love it. And I don't know why, but I just realized you guys have your Hanging with the Browns t-shirts on. Did you know? I literally wasn't even noticing that. So you're making sure people know that there is some great content to be had, and I just want to encourage
We
everybody to get.
actually have our QR code.
Oh,
We
the
wear
QR
these
code.
out. Yeah,
That's
that's what
nice.
this, yeah, that
That's
is. So
smart.
when we're out, go ahead and put your camera up. It's going to take you, and you are on our list of doctors.
Oh,
So
nice,
if
nice.
you go to my our Q, hit this, of course, to subscribe, take you to the channel, because I often tell people, I say, listen, if you need to hear it from a doctor, well, here's a
Mm,
list of physicians
that's
that you
right.
can go. And so it takes them straight to your channel, because
Nice.
sometimes you have to have those letters behind your name.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I should just wear a white coat. So yeah,
Ah.
just put me a white coat on. Yeah, and put my little stuff. I got one too. I think I might do that. No, but yeah, it's almost as if I talk to you like this, but then I put that
Yep,
white
yep,
coat on and have that. It's
yep,
like,
yep.
and so
Yeah,
yeah, so you are our go-to for this, because not only do you speak carnivore, you speak ketovore, low carb,
yeah, that's
because you
right.
have to meet the person where they
Where
are.
they are, that's right. I
Yeah.
am 100% appreciative of that, and I just think that's a logical approach. Again, we're just trying to create options for people that we know will make a huge difference. So thank you for that. As we
Mhm.
get close to wrapping up, I wanted to ask you a couple of more easy questions, and maybe it's not easy to ask you what keeps you up at night, but anything that when you think about the future, anything that kind of bothers you. I know it's partly the family, you want your family to heal, but anything that really comes to mind that you just, I wish this was better.
I think for me, a lot of times when I wake up, it's the channel. It's the channel that we have. It's the reach that we want to get to. We just
Hmm.
we travel a lot. As a matter of fact, next week we'll be on another cruise. We just came off of one, and we'll be on another one
Wow,
next
that's
month.
great.
Yeah, we do, and I see people, and it's like,
Right.
yeah, and that's kind of difficult.
Hmm.
So what I try to do, so what are the words that I can use or say? What is that message? What is that thing that it's like that aha moment for people?
Hmm.
And so that I can say,
Yeah,
that does
let
it
me
for me.
piggyback
Yeah.
off of that. Yeah, she and I, we often sit and talk at night about what we can do in regards to the channel. What new can we bring? Um, are there any fresh ideas? What do people
Hmm.
want to hear? And unfortunately, what we find, unfortunately, is that people gravitate towards negativity,
Hmm. Yeah.
and it's sad, but it's true,
Yeah.
And so how
Yeah.
do you reach them without actually being negative,
That's right.
Them thumbnails,
Yeah,
them
Yeah, I
thumbnails
know.
get me. Yeah, because you just kind of want to turn around and say, "Hey, here's the answer right here."
yeah,
Oh, I don't want
Right.
the
you don't want
answer,
to do
but then I
Mhm.
say, "Here's 5 reasons I don't like this." Oh, what's that about?
Right, right. It is a challenge. I see some channels, even if it's, just a channel that's, sharing great information, but when you see a little bit more of a like, if you challenge somebody and you comment on it, those videos do well. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
whenever there's tension or
Yeah,
and that's just so I think we have to be creative and, try to reach people the best we can, but I agree with you. I'm not my gut is to just give people quality information and they will come, but it's going to be a lot slower. And so you have to be, but you want to be honest. So you don't want to
hmm,
just try to click something that's clickable. And if it's not honest, and so it's kind of a catch 22. And some people say, well, it doesn't matter. as long as you fulfill your purpose, you have to kind of tell a little lie to get them to you. But if they learn, but I do want to feel that when people click on my videos, that it's honest and it's from a good place. So I think I understand why those things keep you up, because you want people to heal. But I will say this, you guys clearly put time into your videos, how you edit them, and its quality. So I think that ultimately, the audience will continue to find you. I do think that the time you spend elsewhere, like on somebody else's channel, will help. That's why even I have been trying to do that lately. And I think that helps as well. So kind of have some level of patience while also not being too patient. Just keep doing the work, and I think it'll all come, because I think there's a huge audience that needs to see you guys, and you
Thank you.
absolutely have a niche that will be filled. So I'm loving that. Now, let me go ahead and go to the nest and rope question and ask you both, as it relates to the nest and rope, those letters that talk about the root causes of why we get sick. When you think about those things, are there areas that you guys want to focus on individually that you feel you need to do better in?
Hmm.
That one's a little tough because we've totally committed to this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like we were straddling the fence
That's right.
and we're not really sure here or there. No, we cut it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
cold turkey, we cut it. So that one's a little tough for me, I think. I don't know.
Well, even, on the channel, I share and talk about everything
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because I'm nosy. I'm nosy. I want to know, like, uh, I have a brother that gained a lot of weight. He was almost 500 pounds. And I was like, dude, how do you wipe your butt? I want to know these different things. I'm nosy as all get out. I really, really am. And so I feel that everybody might not be nosy, but I do. I share. I read there, and it's just so open across. I want to work with the younger generation because I think about you started this in the beginning asking like when we grew up the
Mm-hmm.
food. Um, Formula was not around when I was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
They have Enfamil, Similac, and all of that. And I asked my mom, and she said she started me with later on some carnation milk and mixed it with water. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that was the best she could do with what she had after your little breast milk and stuff like that. Okay, I know now. I'm looking at a lot of the young people being born. Uh, I've never seen autism like this. When I was
Mm-hmm.
growing up, you had one special ed class. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. And I don't remember a lot of children or siblings with Down syndrome. I don't remember that growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, you go down the block, you have 10 houses, 8 of them have something going on the inside. And so I try to go back and think, uh, what? So the mom, unfortunately, is eating processed foods. So then the incubation period, some things could be happening, and then you have the baby, and if you don't breastfeed, but then what were you eating? And
Mm-hmm.
then now the formula all has sugar in it, so it started young, and I want to tap into that as well. I remember Dr. Kiltz was talking about how he infertility, and it's
Mm.
like go home and eat some meat. You don't have to do the injections.
That's right.
It's like it's the answer to so many things But then you are afraid because they said, listen, don't eat that saturated fat.
Right.
Eat lean. That as a matter of fact, on the chicken, the driest part, the breast, and you think that you really doing something and you're taking the skin off. There's just so much misinformation that
Yeah.
everything that they told us not to do are the things that actually help us.
And it's
And
pervasive. I mean, very smart people. Again, when I was at the food pharmacy announcement, and I'll actually maybe I'll share that in the notes. They created the news people were there, so I'll share with you guys, and
hmm
I'll try to share it for the people who are following us today. But they did a little video to celebrate the opening of the food pharmacy at one of our hospitals. Yet the people there, when you talk to them, their understanding of it's always like, even if I say to them I'm a carnivore and I eat meat, they'll say, "Yeah, meat's okay as long as you don't eat too much." It's like it's just this lack of awareness of the biochemistry, and that the other things that we are being asked to eat, like excessive grains, are harmful. And if you take any person with diabetes and ask them to just eat fruit all day, they will be they'll have diabetes for the rest of their lives, because and there's still this perception, no, I don't eat sugar, but I just make sure I use honey instead. Your body can't tell the difference. There may be nutrients
Oh,
and things for your immune system that are helpful, but if you have diabetes, you keep eating that honey, I'm sorry, it's gonna continue to harm you. So I appreciate that you guys have kind of figured this out, learned. We're all learning together. You may
hmm
reach out to me one day and say, "Doc, have you tried this? Did you know you can do this with meat?" And then I'll learn it, and then I'll share it with people, and we'll just keep growing this community. So keep doing the work you're doing, because it's so important. And we need different voices, different faces, different ways of presenting information. We all don't have to be the same. I don't have to, put videos out making fun of vegans like Dr. Sean Baker. Let him do that, and I'll do my, because they are funny. But it's all good. We all have, and it's okay. We have to be lighthearted, have fun with each other, and be okay. So as we wrap up, so we have your YouTube channel, Hanging with the Browns, and I
hmm
saw another Hanging with the Browns, but they had so I don't know how many Hanging with the Browns are out there, but yours
I
doesn't
think
have.
they have some numbers
They have
behind
numbers after
yours.
theirs, right? So
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
that one,
yeah.
guys.
Nope.
So we'll
It
have a
is.
link
That's look for the purple hair. Look for the
with
purple
the
hair.
purple hair. That's right, Purple Rain. My brother's a huge Prince fan, so he would hug you virtually if he saw that hair, because he's Prince, Purple, everything. So, um, any other? But you also sell jewelry, right? So you have a website
hmm
for that. So how do people
I
get to that?
do. G Brown, GIEBROWN.com. But ironically that you mentioned that, I start class tomorrow for nutrition, chronic diseases, and health.
Really?
Yeah, I want, and of course I know they're not going to teach carnivore, but
Hmm.
I want to know more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so as I am leaning more into save the world, I have actually not done a lot with my jewelry business. And
Okay.
so people know that I have it, and I'm possibly, okay, this is a big announcement. I'm
Uh-oh.
possibly going to shut it down in January
Oh,
and
wow.
really concentrate here. Um, feel that it's needed.
Okay.
It's needed.
Well,
And my mother always said I was going to do big things. And so,
hmm.
because of that, I really believe that this is it.
I love it. And I do believe this is it for most of us. And I think that the work is so important. And guess what? Sometimes, particularly when you start going on other people's shows, you'll see a lot of small carnivore channels, a lot of small keto channels. There's not enough of them. Like there's
Tell your story.
always there's so many people. And the reason why I know that's true because of what I said about me going to the food pharmacy. And when you go to the food pharmacy, everybody there looking at you like, I mean, they know who I am because I'm in the health system, but the information, they have no clue. So we have so many opportunities to reach people and so many opportunities to help people heal. So keep doing the work you're doing. Thank you
Thank you.
for allowing me to be on your channel, which will come out at some point. Thank you for coming to
Oh,
mine. We're gonna keep
you're airing
having.
Saturday, so you
Go
don't
ahead.
even have, you're
There's
airing
no
Saturday.
surprises. Okay, cool. So good.
Yeah, yeah. I won't because I have to get that information out.
Yeah,
I
thank you for
cannot.
that.
Yeah, I have to get it out. I have to get
So
it out, and so yeah, I'm
that
actually going
will.
to utilize you two ways. You will
Mm-hmm.
be aired Saturday, but my daughter requested um, a longer video that she can play in her salon, and I'm using you for that one as well. But
That's
we're going
nice.
to kind of do an intro.
Okay.
We'll do an intro exit for it. But for hers, she wants some before and after pictures and all of that
Right. All of
because at
that.
my heaviest, I was 260. His
Mm.
heaviest, he was. Now I need you to start thinking about all of the extra twisting and turning and stuff at 260. And but keep in mind I was shallow Hal.
Yeah, well, that's fair. But I'm gonna tell
There you
you,
go. So I was still like
in
199.
in communities of color, sisters being a little thicker is not a negative. And
Wow.
if you go to the home country of Africa, same story. So we can understand why brother was hanging in there because that's just how we see our sisters. So I'm glad you shared that. So that would be since this recording will exist forever. That's November 18th, 2023. People should make sure to check out your channel so they can hear us, talk, answer some questions about
Yes.
carnivore that we didn't address today. So thank you so much. Thank you for being a power couple. I really appreciate you, and just keep doing the work you're doing, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, guys. Today we had a chance to hang out with the Browns. And what I love about hanging out with the right people is that it provides the right environment to thrive. And even when we think about one of the 9 lessons from the Blue Zones, it speaks of having a sense of community and having the right tribe around you. That's why the work the Browns are doing to inspire others on their YouTube channel is so important. Because for many of us, once we surround ourselves by the right people the moment we face challenges, they are right there to help us through our struggles. So if you enjoyed our conversation today, take a trip to the Browns. They have a open invitation just for you, but you won't have to travel far. Just go to YouTube and search Hanging with the Browns. Not the one with the numbers after it, it's the other Browns with the lovely G, some purple hair. So look for that and then let the adventure begin. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Protecting Your Nest podcast. And until we meet again, continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest.